All right, guys, what is up? So, first and foremost, ARMR UP crew, what's going on? I wanted to give everybody just a welcome to the program and also thank you for being a part of this program. This has been a huge part of my life. Not only has everything that I've ever done in my career gone into what you're seeing, but it's a product of where I am today. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. I don't do anything that I don't believe in, and I don't work on anything that I don't want to work on. And everything in my life is purpose driven. Every single bit of it. Everything I do with my family, everything that I wear, everything that I say, anywhere I go. I mean, everything is connected to some type of purpose, and it has deep meaning to me. So this program is very important to me, and I wanted to thank you guys for jumping on and being in it and staying with it and believing in us. There's been some amazing things that have come out of this program, from people's lifestyles changing to amazing things happening in their career to people getting selected for certain things, being prepared to go overseas, improving their lifestyles. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I'm very grateful and I'm humbled for that each and every day. What we wanted to do is we wanted to start emailing these to you guys and having the ability to watch these videos from the newsletter. And I think we might probably even going to load this up on YouTube. I'm not quite sure yet, but I wanted to be able to give this value to you guys as I'm going through this. Mindset programming is something that we're doing every single week. And why that's important to me is because initially I didn't think that it was going to be a part of the program, and I wanted to talk about mindset a lot and integrate it into the movements and the function and everything else. And I'm always talking about how to program the way we're thinking. But each and every week, I really do go through this process of every Sunday intentionally kind of reflecting on the week and the week to come. That way, I'm setting myself up for success on the way I'm thinking about things. I'm improving and I'm applying that to the future. It's kind of like an after action report like we did in the military, and then applying that feedback. So being intentional about it, I just started to do these videos to say this is the mindset programming that I'm going to give to you guys, letting you guys see a little bit into what I'm thinking about each and every week. So this is legitimately, personally, what I have going on and what I'm working on. I've been taking requests from guys. Last week we talked about scripture. I thought that was amazing. I got some awesome feedback on that. It was really cool to see because I love talking about that stuff. And this week for me, I've been getting other feedback. I pretty much have a list of stuff that I want to do, but this week for me it was priorities. And I think in today's day and age where we're so distracted and so overwhelmed with daily tasks in our lives, it's really easy to get pulled away from our most important priorities. And believe me, it's a daily struggle for me. It's a daily challenge for me to be able to convert that and stay on track with what my priorities are. I have everything going on, and you can make all the excuses in the world. But one of the lies that I was living with for a long time is there's not enough hours in the day. And I would challenge anybody on that because it's such a bad thing to tell yourself. And the truth is that God's timing is perfect. The time we have is perfect. And if you haven't got to it, the truth is, guys, it's just not that big of a priority to you. And you have to have the awareness and the honesty with yourself to tell yourself that. If you haven't done it yet, it's not a priority for you. You may feel like it's a priority because we want to do so much for so many people, but we have to be realistic with our time, and we have to be realistic with the expectations of our time, especially for those around us. We tend to live in a superficial world where it's kind of you're just passing by people and we're hitting our top level priorities. But the true meaning of a relationship, a career, and all these other things, I just talked about commitment the other day. Staying committed to something and seeing that through, right, wrong, or indifferent, or challenging, or not turning out to be what you had thought it was going to be, is going to teach you so much about what you signed up for in the beginning. And it's going to see that rep through. So even though you start it, you're like, wait a minute, midway through, you're like, this isn't what I expected. The point is to try to finish it and commit all the way through to it, because you're going to recognize the process of the starting of the idea until the ending point to get that full rep in, to realize like what it actually takes to commit to something. So when you say you're going to commit to your next thing, oh, wait a minute, things could change in the middle of this. And if I do follow through with it, I am going to learn about myself. So you don't want to stop, because I see too many people try this, try that, try this, try that, and they're bouncing all over the place. And they kind of live off this bouncing of all over the place. And we all know those people in our lives, and we're all guilty of it ourselves. I'm guilty of it too. And I try really, really hard to add the value in saying, like, this is what I'm committing to, and this is what I'm doing. My wife laughed at me the other day when we were having this conversation, because when we were 14 years old, I told her I was going to marry her someday. So if you ask my wife, she will tell you that I do what I say I'm going to do, because to this day, she's like, I'll never forget that. She's like, you looked right at me. You were like, I'll marry you someday. She's like, yeah, okay, pal, whatever. And then here we are, happily married with kids and doing great. So I wanted to urge that to you guys, but I want to get back on track with my main topic for today's MSP. MSP, mindset programming. Our mind is set on something. Thank you, Virginia Beach and Oceana. Fire guys out there, fire dog fighting and hanging out with each other up in the air. I love the sound of it, but it can be frustrating when I'm trying to film. Either way. So I want to talk about priorities. What are the priorities in our life? If our timing is perfect and we're not going to be able to get any more or less of it, how do we go about prioritizing the things that we need to be doing? And how do we stick with them? Do we change it? Are we staying flexible? Do we adapt along the way? Or are we pretty hard about where our priorities are? First of all, I think you have to ask yourself the question of, how are you coming up with your priorities in the first place? Typically, what I see and what I've experienced and what I've done is we tend to let finances and money and the things that stress us out drive our priorities. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll make this mistake several times over, it's a horrible way to live your life, letting money dictate your priorities. It's stressful. There's negativity associated with it. It's tough on relationships. You have to find priorities based off of who you are, and then everything else is going to fall into place. I read the 4-Hour Work Week as I was transitioning out of the military, and you always have to ask yourself, what's your worst case scenario? So if you really risked it all today to go after your major priorities, what does that look like for you? If you risked everything, if I lost everything right now, this building went away, my house went away, my cars went away, I didn't have any money, and I went bankrupt, I'd still have a pretty amazing family to fall back on and to love and to take care of. And I still have my 2 hands. I'd go wash dishes if I had to. And I would figure out a way to put food in front of those guys and figure out something. That's my worst case scenario. And to be honest with you, compared to the world and in perspective, is not that bad of a scenario. So we have to ask ourselves if we're willing to understand that in order to risk giving everything we got to committing to what our most important priorities as a person are. What is the priorities in our life? Not because of money. What are your priorities? What means the most to you? So let me talk a little bit about how to find those and how I have structured a way in my life to find those. I often say this in this flow: honor, purpose, goals, plan, and attack. Okay? That's kind of the 5-step process that I've created in my life to be able to get after these things. I'm going to break them down for you really quickly, and I'm going to give you something to think about this weekend for mindset programming. First of all, we have to find out what we honor. Honor is the foundation of everything that we're doing. And honor is such a loaded word, but it's important to understand. If you know Dynamis' definition, or my definition, is to live a life that those that have gone before us would be proud of, that have set this foundation for us to be here. So what does that mean to me? What do I honor? Well, I honor God. I honor Christ. I honor those that have fought for everything they possibly could, including with their lives, to set the foundation of freedom that I have here today, to do this video, to live with my family in peace and my family. Okay, those are the major things that I honor. So now with what I honor, I have to create some type of a purpose in my life in order to honor those things, in order to create this feedback loop. Is my actions that I'm living out on a daily basis honoring what I said I honor? And that's something that you have to ask yourself. And you need to create that purpose, and you need to reflect on that purpose, and you need to refine that purpose and say it to yourself every day. This is why I exist, to honor these things. After that purpose, I talk about creating goals. What are your goals for what you honor and what your purpose is? What are your major goals? They should be scary. They should be unknown. They should be this big. And unknown, I mean, like, we don't know what's on the other side of these scary goals. They're big, giant goals. What's going to happen? We really don't know, but chasing them means everything to us because we've set the foundation of honor and purpose. After our goals, we need to come up with a plan. Okay? We can have all the goals and dreams that we want in the entire world. If we don't come up with a plan, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. So we have to create our plan. When we create our plan and we start laying these things out, what happens is we start seeing it take shape. Okay? How do I get to that goal? Well, I need to create a step-by-step process. And then you need to start figuring out what your biggest priority in order to obtain that goal is. Okay? Now you're starting to drive yourself towards a purpose-driven life, a purpose-driven lifestyle, where your priorities start coming into check. When you say attack, that means you're starting to attack your plan that you created for your goals, that live out your purpose, ultimately will honor what you live for in the first place. I'm going to give you a quick example, and then I want you guys to be able to reflect on this today and hopefully take action throughout this next week for this M.S.P. Once we create the foundation of what we honor, we need to ask ourselves a question. Is each task that we're creating in order to follow through with that plan going through the filter of that honor and purpose? So if I can sit here today and say, okay, I need to come up with some combative movements for the weeks of programming that we're going to do. If I can sit here and say, okay, is me going down to the gym and taking my time to understand what those progressions are going to be, what the flow is going to be, how they're going to play into the project and the program, is that going to align with my honor and purpose? So let me reflect on that for a second. I create these combative movements, which make me better at thinking about them, make me better at getting repetitions with them. I study them, I analyze them, I practice them to make sure that they're obtainable and that they're reasonable and that they are effective and efficient. And then I'm going to put them in a program that has been helping people protect themselves, helping them protect freedom, keeping themselves safe and their family safe. And the list really, for me, starts to go on and on and on because that aligns with what I honor. I honor God. I want people to be safe. I love people. I want people to live in a peaceful world. I want to be able to serve people. I want to be able to serve them as best as I possibly can, to give them the knowledge and the experience that I've been able to get, like that God has blessed me with, being able to be overseas and get this experience. And then being able to honor those that have gone before us. The guys that have sacrificed everything for us to be here. We are exercising that freedom by doing what I love in the gym, by practicing my combatives, and then helping give that to other people so that they can keep this country safe. They can mitigate risk to themselves. And it honors my family because I'm living out what I want them to become. I'm living out my actions to say each and every day that I'm trying to become a better version of me, to be able to refine those hand-to-hand skills and then teach other people, which in turn makes us safer. This is just an example, guys, and I'm doing my best to kind of convey this in an isolated manner so you see what I'm talking about. But for me, that does honor what I honor, and that does live out my purpose. And it is part of my goals, to live in service and love of other people, to help make them better, a better version of themselves, to help improve their mindset, their spirituality, and their physicality. That accomplished those goals. That's a check in the box for me. That's an easy win. There's other areas in our life which things come up where you start to scratch your head like, is this aligning with my filter? I don't know. And this is where prayer for me comes in, because when you start talking about taxes and paperwork, and that's really where I start to struggle, like, well, this isn't fulfilling. I don't love doing this. I do now, and I've shifted my mindset to be like, if God's put it in front of me and it's a part of where I'm going, then I need to accept and embrace it as a good thing. And that's how I used to be. I used to push all that stuff aside. But with the more challenging things, you really need to dig deep. I'll give you one more example. When I travel and I go on the road, if I leave the road and I leave my 4 kids and I'm going somewhere, I think real hard and long is that what am I going to do? And what I'm doing, is it honoring my time away from my children and my family? Is it honoring my time away from the Dynamis HQ to be able to provide a service for other people, to be able to create gear? And each second that I step out the door and I get on that plane, every second to me is purpose built, because I don't want to waste a single bit of it being away from them. If I left to go, I don't know, come up with some of the things that could be completely selfish at times, where we're only thinking about what we get out of this. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Sometimes we all need that. And I don't want you to get me wrong here, but I want you to understand the level of thinking to me is that, to me, the selfish thing is completely loving my kids, right? So we could completely go back and forth on that. And you need to figure out what's best for you. But if I go on the road to do something that doesn't ultimately help set them up for success, and one way I think about it, this might be extreme, I'm not sure, this is just me. If I died on that trip and I was away from my family for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, would my family be able to say to themselves that, well, he died doing something, or away from us doing something that we would agree with? We would approve of him doing that. He's going to teach a home defense course. He's going to try to revolutionize how small teams work with one another. He's going to create manufacturing and do things on articles of clothing and equipment that we're going to be able to use in our lives to help us be safer and change the way we think. Are those things, are they going to be okay with that? I mean, that's the question I ask myself. And when I can nod my head yes, I feel good about going to spend that time away from them. We have to be able to put our priorities through a filter. When it comes down to really narrow detail, that's sometimes where it can get tough. But each and every day, especially throughout the week, you need to ask yourself, are my bigger goals aligning with that filter? Now, are the small details aligning with that filter? That's where we start building a list of, like, how many to-dos do I have? I can't even sit here and count them for you. Thousands and thousands of tasks I have built up in a system of stuff that I want to accomplish, or something that came on my mind. But each and every day I need to be able to wake up and have an honest conversation with myself. Is that, are these the best priority to align with that filter, with what I have become and what I have learned right here and now today, to apply to a better me, a better future, and a better family? And sometimes I have to adapt. And sometimes things have to just go, you know what? That's not a priority anymore. And that's where you need to be honest with yourself. But that number one priority and that next task that you go do needs to be something that you agree with and that you are excited about going to do. We need to be excited about our next priorities, because if we're not, then we're just dragging ourselves through this stuff. And you know what? Some of our priorities aren't going to be fun. Trying to pick one. Logistically, I have to go do a tax thing for one of my houses. Okay, that's not something that I'm like, can't wait to do it. I'm going to write a book on it someday. But I'm like, that's going to align with helping me create stability and financial stability with stuff that I have going on in my own personal life, which in turn will help my family and our overall well-being over the time, and for the long-term investment into my real estate. That's something that's important to me. So you need to be able to connect it to those long-term goals and visions. And as long as you can say, yes, it aligns, then your priority might not be far off. Now you've got to rack and stack them with what your most important is to your least important. And then just focus on your next 3 and keep going after it and after and after it. We all have different ways and systems that we would use. I have Basecamp. We use Basecamp online. It's a really effective system that helps keep us squared away with the thousands of projects that we have going on. And refinement and focus, I can't tell you how important that is, especially with technology today. You have to be able to focus. But I wanted to give you that this week. I'm really going to reflect this Sunday on how my filters are being aligned with my priorities, big priorities, and then down to the smallest detail in each and every day. This M.S.P video was a priority for me today. I wanted to get it out to you guys. It meant something to me. I love this program. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I'm excited about it, whatever that may be. And I'm so pumped that you guys are here. I hope I continue to add value for everything that you're bringing to the table too. You know, I want to match your guys' energy. I work out every single day of my life, and I do something to help improve the way that I'm thinking about things, the stability, the balance, the love, the peace, the strength, the courage, everything that we're trying to become each and every day that brings us ultimate happiness and joy is something that is really important to me, especially now that I keep seeing my 4 kids get older and older and older. I'm seeing how it affects them, and I'm seeing what they are becoming, and I want the absolute best for them, for you guys, and everybody involved. So armor up, guys. Remember, let's get our mind set on something great this week, and let's refine our priorities and attack it with everything we've got. All right, guys, God bless, and armor up.